Jerome, thank you so much for doing this, and would welcome also any other guidance from Chief Scott. Did the 37-year-old who had a license to carry, did he brandish a gun? And at what point did law enforcement retrieve the gun and also the magazines from him? Can you offer clarity on
this
where
individual
those were found?
showed up to impede a law enforcement operation and assaulted our officers. They responded according to their training and took action to defend the officer's life and those of the public around him. And I don't know of any peaceful protester that shows up with a gun and ammunition rather than a sign. This is a violent riot when you have someone showing up with weapons and are using them to assault law enforcement officers.
Because video appears to show he's disarmed before shots are fired. So I just want clarity on that. And beyond that, I just want to follow up and ask who within the federal government is leading the criminal investigation, understanding that CBP OPR has opened up an internal investigation. And beyond that, why did federal agents tell Minneapolis Police Department to leave the scene?
We're continuing to follow the exact same protocols that we always have. And so this investigation is ongoing. We're continuing to gather the facts as they unfold throughout that. And we'll do it just like we did under the entire Trump administration and previous administrations. Nothing has changed, and we'll continue to release details as we have them. But I want you to not distract away from the facts of this situation. Our law enforcement officers were there doing a targeted operation against an individual who was in this country illegally and had a criminal conviction for domestic assault with intent to do bodily harm and other convictions as well. This individual went and impeded their law enforcement operations, attacked those officers, had a weapon on him and multiple dozens of rounds of ammunition, wishing to inflict harm on these officers, coming brandishing like that and impeding their work that they were doing. We'll continue to allow. That is a different.
Boy. So we got to continue our coverage of the chaos and drama that is happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Okay, we have a new liberal that has won a Darn Award here, Mr. Alex Pretty, who was resisting arrest after trying to confront Border Patrol agents who were doing their jobs, right? He decided to show up as a legal observer, aka an agent of chaos, was told to move back, did not do so immediately, and ended up getting a confrontation with Border Patrol in which he ended up losing his life because he was shot and killed due to the fact that he was armed and resisting while armed. Now, there's a lot of speculation about whether or not he was disarmed before the Border Patrol agent shot him. And we now have clear video evidence showing exactly what happened. And I personally believe that this evidence I'm about to show you guys basically closes the door on anybody claiming that this was not justified, right? I think that from a legal perspective, this is 100% justified. And this video right here, this angle right here, I think is the clearest angle. And I'm going to explain to you guys exactly why. So without further ado, let's go ahead and play this clip. Now, keep in mind, all this is happening in seconds. This is now slowed down in slow motion. In the courts, you're not supposed to analyze it this way, right? But I'm going to analyze it and just tell you guys, in your mind, keep in mind that this is something that happened in split seconds, right? Okay, so watch this. As you can see, they're tussling with the guy. He's resisting. This guy right here apparently is also Border Patrol, right? He's a federal officer. The gun is right here, right? His holster's right here. And this officer is basically reaching for the gun to try to disarm him, okay? At the exact same time that this officer is reaching to try to disarm this guy, this other officer sees the gun, sees the weapon, okay? And he reaches for his weapon, right? So the gun has been identified. At the same time, there's a struggle for the weapon, right? Okay? As this guy is resisting arrest, you can clearly see it. Watch this. This officer right here pulls out the weapon while at the same time, simultaneously, this officer is gearing up to fire because at that point he's resisting. They've identified a weapon. He's not fully under control. This is potentially a dangerous threat. And I'm just giving you the perspective from a legal perspective and a law enforcement perspective. At the end of the day, you can morally agree or disagree with it. That's not what this is about. And too many people spend too much time making moral arguments that are irrelevant to the law. Right? I'm giving you a legal breakdown of why this is justified, okay? So this guy is pulling away the weapon. At the same time, this agent fires. He fires a weapon. This dude is actively now getting up, trying to get up. Now, keep in mind, they've identified a weapon. In a split second, although it appears as if this guy was disarmed, you have to take a step back and understand from the perspective of a law enforcement officer in that split second situation. They've identified a gun. This guy's actively resisting. He's getting up. It looks as if he is reaching at the same spot that his holster was. Look at him. Look at his posture. Okay? Look at his posture at that moment, right? At this moment, what does a reasonable officer believe about the potential for this guy to use deadly force? They don't know if he has another gun on him or not. They don't know if the gun is even still there, if he's even still armed, right? And I'm going to prove to you guys that they didn't know whether or not he was still armed here in a minute, okay? I'm going to prove to you that they did not know. So we're watching it in slow motion, but keep in mind, this is all in split seconds, right? Take your emotions out of it and analyze it from a legal perspective. He's getting up. His posture is as if he's reaching for his holster, right? Maybe he felt the gun was taken. Maybe that's why he was reaching for it. I don't know. But the agents don't know either. They don't know. That's the whole point. And they don't have to take the risk of potentially being shot or him getting access to his weapon because they don't know if he's still armed or not. They have no clue. But they have identified that at some point during this exchange, he was armed. He's an armed individual. So for all they know, maybe he has another weapon. Maybe he's still armed. They don't know. But they do know that at one point he was armed, right? That he had a gun. A gun was identified. And because he kept resisting, then, again, legally speaking, an officer can reasonably believe, hey, this guy is still a deadly threat, right? He can still use deadly force. And at that point, deadly force is justified. Now, here's the back angle of this interaction. This is from the back. As you can see, look at that hand right there. That's what a holster was, right? So, again, from the perspective of law enforcement, and again, I'm about to show you in a minute, they don't know if the gun is still there, even though it appears as if he was disarmed, and then he reaches back at the same place that the firearm was identified, okay? So I just want people to understand that. It looks as if he's reaching back. Check out this angle. Watch this. Boom. You see this? This guy took the gun. He took the gun, but they didn't know that he was unarmed, right? Or that he was disarmed. They didn't know. Keep that in mind. You got to understand. What was the perspective of the officers at the time? That's how you have to analyze it. The gun had been identified, but they didn't know that the gun had been disarmed. They didn't know. And I'm about to prove to you guys that they in fact did not know. Okay, the next video I'm about to show you guys is what they said after the suspect had been shot. Okay, as he's on the sidewalk, he shot, is over. Listen to what they say. Listen to this. Where's the gun? Where's the gun? So, in the court of law, right, this video is basically going to justify this shoot. I'm telling you that right now. Again, people can be upset about it. They can be mad about it. But it's going to justify the shoot because the officers clearly did not know that he had been disarmed, right? Though, where's the gun actually strengthens the idea that the officers did not know that he was disarmed. For all they knew, he was still armed because a gun had been identified at the time, right? So from their perspective, he's still a potentially deadly threat, okay? From their perspective, not from the perspective of us watching in hindsight, okay? Not from our perspective, but from the perspective of those who were there at the time. In that split second, gun. At the same time, dude is disarming him, right? And the shots ring out a split second later. It all happened at the same time. They clearly think that, hey, he's still a deadly threat. And what matters in court is their perception. Did they have a reasonable belief that he was still a deadly threat? The answer to that question is yes. Why? Because they identified the gun. They didn't know that he was disarmed. Again, split second. He tried to get up. He was still resisting. He reached back. Boom. That's when they kept shooting him. So, yeah, I mean, that's basically it. I mean, I'm telling you, they can investigate it all they want, right? But I'm telling you, the officer who shot this guy is going to get off. It's going to be justified legally. 100%. 100%. 100%. I mean, clearly on video, they didn't know that he was disarmed. At one point, they did identify a firearm, right? The gun was there. He was armed. He was resisting arrest, attempting to get up while being armed, while being disarmed by another agent at the same time. Simultaneously, this was happening at the same time, split second. The other agent shot him as he was attempting to get up, right? Because he was resisting. So I personally think that this angle that I showed you guys, this right here, yeah, I mean, it's not good for the suspect. It's not good for the narrative from the media. But the problem is that they're not going to give you the legal perspective. They're going to give you the moral perspective. I'm not interested in moral perspective. The moral perspective is irrelevant to me. Why is the moral perspective irrelevant to me? It's irrelevant because legally, we know how use of force works. It is not smart if you understand how use of force works to do what this guy did. It is not smart to confront federal agents who are armed while you're armed and to get in a confrontation with them and then resist arrest. That's not a smart thing to do. You're giving them, legally speaking, more reasons for justified use of force when you do that. And if we spent more time lecturing these people on why you should not do this and why this is stupid and stop making excuses for the stupid behavior, then you would see less of it. But as long as these people continue to make excuses for this type of behavior, as long as they try to justify this type of behavior, you're going to continue to see it. And that's the unfortunate reality about all this. That is the unfortunate reality. The people that are going to be the most upset are the same ones that are going to turn around and encourage the same type of behavior that led up to this in the first place. If you actually care about your comrades, if you care about their lives, stop putting batteries in their backs. Stop telling them to do this. Stop sacrificing them. I don't sacrifice people I care about, right? If I actually care about somebody, I'm not going to sacrifice them for nothing. You're sacrificing people for illegal immigrants for nothing. Actually, really what they're doing, they're sacrificing people for the Democrat Party. That's what they're really doing, right? That's the saddest part about it. Who's benefiting the most from this? Democrats are benefiting the most from it. Why? It's because these people are losing their lives and they're getting gassed up. They're becoming radicalized to do what? Vote for Democrats. To put Democrats in power. And that's why Democrats should be ashamed of themselves. These people, the people who continue to justify this stuff, they have blood on their hands. And then they will try to make conservatives or Trump supporters or people who, understand use of force, they will try to make us the bad guys for saying, hey, don't do this. Hey, don't sacrifice yourself. It's not worth it. There are better ways to take care of your grievances with the government than doing something like this. But we're evil. We're evil. We're bad people for giving these people advice that will save their lives, right? Had this person not showed up, first and foremost, and if he did show up, had he stayed back, had he not confronted the officer gave them ample time to get back. He gave them orders, get back. Let me show you. This is at the beginning of the interaction. This is the guy that was shot. Right here. This guy was shot. These are two protesters. These two right here. Border Patrol is over here. Okay? Watch this. Both of these individuals are harassing Border Patrol, right? They're going up to the vehicle. Border Patrol is getting out of the vehicle. You see that? They're getting out of the vehicle. They're going up to Border Patrol, harassing them. They're way too close to the scene. Way too close. He just told them, hey, get back. I think he said, it sounded to me like he said, go towards that car, all right? Or get past that car or something like that, right? He's telling them to get away, okay? For sure. He's telling them, move back. You're too close. Now, this guy who ended up getting shot, now he's out here trying to direct traffic. Why? Why? You're not law enforcement. Why are you trying to direct traffic? Again, this is what I'm talking about. Getting involved in stuff that you shouldn't be getting involved in. Doing stuff that you have no business doing whatsoever. No business. Why is he doing this? For what? Why? Law enforcement is trying to conduct operations. They're there. If traffic is stuck, law enforcement can take care of that. That is their job. It's not his job to tell traffic what they can and can't do. A law enforcement officer could be getting out of the vehicle. I mean, there could be a good reason why traffic needs to stop at that point. He's doing stuff that he does not need to do.
Go.
Yeah, why? Why is this dude in the middle of the street trying to direct traffic? Why? Insane. So again, you have these people, right? Harassing Border Patrol. They told him get back.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
So now you have all of them over here now. All of them over here. Look at this. All of them over here. So this woman gets pushed down, right? Because she don't want to get back. She don't want to follow orders. It is what it is. Some people might not like it, but hey, if she would have followed commands from the beginning, wouldn't have happened. This dude now gets into the officer's face because of what happened to this person, right? And that's when he gets sprayed. Now, I don't know what he's trying to do to her. Maybe he's trying to protect her. I don't know exactly what's going on here. But again, that's what led to the tussle. Yeah, so at this point, you know, they are detaining him.
With you? Honestly.
And he's resisting. Now, keep in mind, leading up to this was moments before this happened, right? Now, this is not the same situation. This clearly happened before he was shot and killed, right? Basically, they had already warned him and told him, you got to stay back. First and foremost, he's in the road, right? He's in the road. They're already warning this same dude before this happened. Hey, you got to stay back. Look at this.
Things got buried. Yeah, I'm rolling your windows.
They are telling this dude, hey, you got to get back. Now, clearly, this is not the same interaction that they had before they ended up killing him, right? This is not the exact same interaction. This was an interaction before. So something tells me he was already told. He was already told and directed, hey, get back, right? They already had given him orders, stay back.
Let's go around.
Boom, that's what they're doing. They're pushing him out. They're saying, hey, look, you got to get back. They're telling all these people there, you got to stay back. So, hey, you know, your moral arguments are irrelevant to me, right? From a legal perspective, I think it's justified. The moral of the story really is, don't be there, right? These people were doing stuff they had no business doing. They played a stupid game, and unfortunately, one of them won a stupid prize. And that's what happened. That's what I mean. It's pretty clear to me. It's pretty clear. So, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.